Well, yeah, I certainly don't want to be divisive. This is not my intent. But I do think there is a gap. And when, for me and many like me, the biggest single threat we face today is climate change. And so it makes it very difficult to support a party whose leader does not believe in the science behind climate change and the need to take urgent action, as everyone should be across the world, to combat climate change. So, to me, someone who doesn't believe in the science of climate change, that's an extreme position. Someone who supports candidates who think that the vaccine, COVID vaccine, makes you magnetic. To me, that's extreme. So it's not me saying this; it's their own candidates and their own leader saying these things. And so I don't want to be divisive, not at all. And so I encourage everyone to find out about their individual candidates and their ridings, and press them on these issues. And, you're going to have to make a decision about who the very best individual, regardless of party, to represent you in Victoria.
Just one last question here, perhaps quickly to both of you. I'll go to you, Terry, first, because you're watching now this from a little bit of a distance. What do you make of where the BC Liberal Party has gone?
Well, I'm quite devastated, really. I didn't vote for the name change, and I think that was one of the fatal flaws. The first leadership was maybe the beginning of that. But when Mike says the name doesn't matter, it actually does, because most people aren't paying attention to the policies until the very end, perhaps. Most people just associate the name with a sense of who that party is in their head without knowing a lot about it. So the name actually matters. So when you ask people who they're supporting, if they support the NDP, they're going to say the NDP. If they don't like the NDP and you say conservative, they're going to say conservative, because they had no idea what the BC United Party was. If BC Liberal had been the choice, I suspect those polls would have been quite different.
And Mike, to you, what are your thoughts? You've been with a party for so long. What do you think now of where it's gone and ended up?
A guy like me, and to a certain extent, Terry, you can't help but be nostalgic. I ran 8 times, was elected 8 times under a particular party banner, and was proud to do so. I have learned over 30 plus years that there's not always a lot of room for nostalgia in politics, and the people that made the decisions, and in this case, Kevin Falcon was very much at the forefront of the decision to change the name of his party, will now be held and have been held accountable, and people have reflected on that, and the results speak for themselves. It is a big change that has taken place. I agree 200%, 300% with Terry. In the weeks ahead, the one thing we need people to do is become involved, become engaged, become familiar with the candidates, whatever party they're running for, and the views they represent and the policies they represent. And for heaven's sakes, we can start saying it now, in the next provincial election, get out there and vote. Because if there's a trend that is really worrisome in this country and this province, it is the declining participation in the electoral process.